We're live. We are live. We are live. We are live on the air. So, hello, everybody listening at home. My name is Casey Cool, and this is Underpowered. I usually don't do this rundown because my beautiful host, Shelby, is out on assignment tonight. But luckily, tonight we have a return guest, our friend to the show and creator of Chesslocke, Loxxulus. Loxxulus, welcome back.
Hey, what's going on? Thanks for having me.
I'm so excited. I found you over the pandemic playing one of my favorite games, if not my favorite of all time, Final Fantasy Tactics. And we kind of connected over that. And Square Enix has brought back the great strategy JRPGs with triangle strategy. But you, sir, lived the dream. You made your own game, Chesslocke, and it's been out for how long now? A year?
It has been 1 year and 1 week. Last week was the 1 year anniversary of since I launched Chesslocke. And yeah, it was inspired by Final Fantasy Tactics. Because, Tactics is you move your pieces on a grid and to get better positional advantages. And your pieces have unique skills and abilities. And I developed this game called Chesslocke, which is your chess pieces have unique skills and abilities, and you move them across the board, and it plays kind of like an RPG. Your pieces get experience points and level ups. There are new abilities. You can unlock an upgrade, and at the end of every match, it tallies up your XP, and you can spend those XP points on upgrading your abilities, and it's played through a campaign of puzzles. So every match is unique. If you think about how chess it starts the same way every time. Well, for Chesslocke, you play through a campaign of puzzles where all the pieces are going to be scrambled for every match. And you just kind of have to figure out how to... Oh, this is a very old trailer. The title screen is now different. And but you'll see, so these are some of the abilities that you go through. All your power pieces have 3 abilities. Your bishop has like a revive ability, kind of like a white mage. Your king can promote a pawn to a knight for the rest of the match. Your rook has this structure abilities, like it can create a wall structure. And this is a really old trailer where so I changed some cosmetic things, and I need to get a new trailer up. But yeah, thank you.
I still want to give people a look, because it's not just chess, it's like souped up chess.
Yeah, so these are all the different maps. See how they're all changing. But you have a new layout, and you just have to your knights could be in the 3rd row. Your king and queen might swap places with your rooks, which are on the corner. Maybe you only have 4 pawns, something like that. So it's it's on Steam, and since it's the 1 year anniversary, it's 50% off right now.
Oh,
but
look at that.
yes, there's some see 50% off.
$3.49. What a steal! What a steal!
I launched the game at $7, $6.99, and I think it's a fair price. 1 year anniversary, so it's 50% off for the next 4 days. So I'm really happy with it.
Now, when we talked last, it was just about you didn't have player versus player. Has there been any change to that? Or
yeah, absolutely. I made it my goal by the 1 year anniversary launch multiplayer, and I launched it. Last week, and I'm really excited about it. So you can there's a select map feature where you can pick any of the maps and just play against someone else. And then there's the campaign feature where you can progress in the campaign. See how it says mission 17 at the top? Yeah. Well, in the single player campaign, there's 50 missions. And then there's 50 more called the endgame dungeon, which is kind of like the super hard mode where you're outnumbered and outclassed and other surprises like that. But yeah, so there's a couple different ways to play multiplayer mode now.
So I have to ask, I'm sure there's some bias. What's your favorite chess piece?
Probably the knight. The knight has really cool. The knight has utility because it has this ability called halt, And if you think of like a halt, like a knight, like saying like halt and like stopping you, it freezes one of the opposing pieces. You select it, and it freezes that piece on the next turn, and it's just so useful. And then it has another ability called Squire, which if the knight is next to an ally pawn, it can kind of like teach it, like train it to make a knight's move, so the pawn can make an L-shaped move for one turn, and it's really cool. And then it has
it's
Joust.
like it's Squire, right? It's
yeah,
like
yeah,
right.
It's Squire, exactly. And then it has Joust, which is a straight line attack. You know how the knights move in like an L shape?
Yeah.
Well, Joust is a straight line attack, and I think it's one of those first screenshots has the knights move specifically. I don't know, but yeah.
Nice.
So I think the knight. Yeah. So the knight's that third one, but
yeah. I think what you've done is amazing, and the fact that you did
thanks.
it with like a team of, it was 6 or 5.
So well, it's a very non-traditional team,
right?
So I designed everything on paper and spreadsheets and everything, and then I hired one programmer to do all the programming, and then I bought artwork and I bought music from freelancers on Fiverr.com. So
Fiverr's great.
Yeah. So I use it. So the team's kind of like 2 people. It's myself and a programmer, and then if I need assets, UI or artwork or music, then I say, hey, this is what I want it to sound like this. I want it to look like this, and can you make that? And then I just purchased some custom stuff, and so that's how it was done.
It's cool to see that you're still continuing it, and like you're a working professional like Shelby and I. The gaming is a passion for us, and it's and you're a dad too.
Yeah, I'm dad, work full time. It's just kind of like a nights and weekends kind of project. Right. And then I was happy when I launched it.
Do people ask you like, how do you make the time? Do you get that a lot with like having projects like this?
Yeah. And the answer was it really is a there would be Friday nights, Saturday nights where I would spend the time with my wife, and we would watch a movie or watch a couple episodes of something on Netflix, and then it's like, okay, I need like 2 hours. I need to work on my projects, and it's just like I want to work on it, and so
It's a labor of love, so it's not like it's work. It's like, oh, I get to work on this. I'm crafting this thing.
Yeah, right? Yeah. It really felt like once you I enjoy creating, crafting, right? It's like, so once if you enjoy stuff like that, now it gets hard. Multiplayer, there's a lot of testing and why is this bug happening? And so you have to figure out things, but it gets frustrating and it can be hard. But overall, I think it's really fun.
Do you have a chat for players to talk to each other, or did you take that out so it wouldn't get toxic?
Yes. So multiplayer mode now has a chat feature. Is that what you mean?
Yeah. So when
So
players talk, is it a voice chat or is it just a text chat?
So multiplayer mode has, when you're in the kind of like lobby in between match, because if you want to spend your XP, there's kind of like a moment where you want to wait, okay, I want to see, okay, I have 250 XP, okay, which piece should I click, and then you can talk. There's a little chat box, and you can send each other messages, and then when you're in the game, there's another chat box, send each other messages, and on the Chesslocke Discord, there are chat room channels if you want to use voice.
Nice.
Yep.
Do you think chess players are polite, or do you think Chesslocke players might turn into League of Legends players?
Did you say, are they polite? Is that what
do you think they have nice etiquette and they're kind to each other, or do you think it's going to turn toxic like League of Legends?
I hope it doesn't turn toxic.
Hey man, toxic sells. I'm just saying. No,
I don't know.
I'd be curious. I was curious also because Queen's Gambit was so huge last year. If you saw a bump
Queen's
from
Gambit
that,
was big.
Okay. I think there's got to be a Queen Gambit Chesslocke crossover somewhere that we can make happen.
Yeah, that would be really, really great. Yeah, a lot of people got really interested in chess from Queen's Gambit.
You make her like an NPC somehow. Like you're somehow it's Master Hand from Smash Brothers, but it's her. So it's so impressive, and I can't say how much I like respect what you've done with this, and I success I hope in the world. But we're here also to talk about you like to play games, and like you said, Final Fantasy Tactics. Square Enix came out with a homage. I think would be safe to say, right, for it with Triangle Strategy. I'm thinking homage is how I'd like to call this, and Triangle Strategy. Oh man. It's so good. It's so good. How are you feeling about it?
I love it. I loved Final Fantasy Tactics. It's in my top 3 favorite games of all time. I love Octopath Traveler, which is in my top 10. And this is like a mix of the two, right? We have 2D HD graphics, and then it plays like Final Fantasy Tactics. And I mean, I love it. I can come up with, I think, maybe 2 gripes with the game, but overall I love the battle system. That's my favorite part is the battling. But the graphics are beautiful. The pixels, the particle effects. If you look at fire, if you look at water, you can see reflections off of buildings and things like that. I mean, it's really well done. It looks beautiful.
It is. It's really like a 3D, like a diorama that you make in school in the shoeboxes, kind of.
Because you can rotate the camera.
Mm-hmm. That's the thing too. This game, I had my best friend. Like I've been getting him back into video games over the last few years, and he got really into Pokemon Arceus, right? Because I was like, okay, I don't want to hype this up, but this is going to change the game. He got it, and he got addicted. He's like, I love Pokemon again. He got so into Pokemon, he started buying Pokemon cards, and now he's my kids call him Uncle. He's my best friend. And he's been talking to my son. He's like, so what do I have to do to get that Blaziken card? Like, they're talking about that now. But then I said, okay, because he's the one who showed me Final Fantasy Tactics when we were kids. And I said, I don't want to oversell this, but it's a really good homage to Final Fantasy Tactics. And then last year we started playing D&D together. And I said, and now that you really like D&D, I think you're going to really appreciate this game. And him and I were not spoiling things because he's gotten ahead of me. So we're like, what chapter are you on? What decision did you make here? What did you make here? Right. And it doesn't, it's not as like the job class thing from Final Fantasy Tactics. It doesn't do that. Right. But that's okay because what it does, it's so unique and its own is that the gameplay, that TP system, it's very clean. It's a very clean, like, so ArtDink, I think, is the studio. It's the same studio who did Octopath. They make really, really tight, clean battling mechanics for RPGs. And I can't express enough how excited. But I really just like the choose your own story elements to it, too. I want more of that, to be honest with you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I'm always like, oh, what happens if I pick the other choice? Though I want to know so bad. So,
but I fully plan to replay this a couple times.
Yeah, it has replayability, right? Because one of the gripes that I have is that there are so many characters that I'm not using, right? Because they might start at a lower level. I'm so used to this team, and so I level them up so much, and it has replayability because I want to do the complete opposite choices that I did the first time, and I want to use these different characters that I never used.
Sorry, my co-host is here, and if people don't know, the digging sound is this giant golden retriever right here. Sorry, Millie, lay down. All right, sorry, I'm so sorry. I'm like, please don't let that come through. Yeah. She agrees with you. She wants to make choices too. She plays with me. It's hard. So I will talk about the choices too. My own personal gripe initially was the voice acting. I thought was at flat sometimes.
Especially the very first scene in the game.
Yeah.
I was like, is this, it sounded like they're reading off the script. But as I played, it got much better.
Yes.
It got much better. Yes. But it might have just a couple points like, wow, that is like you're reading off of a script.
Yeah. Like, how many takes did you take? Was that during the pandemic?
Yeah.
And like, where was the editor? And then the other thing, the other one that I wanted to look into, or the one that I my one recommendation for people that didn't like the voice acting initially was to switch it to Japanese, because the Japanese voice acting is really solid.
I haven't heard it yet.
Oh, I did it just on a whim, but I kept it, and I've been really happy with it. Some characters' voice actors are better than others. For me, Isadora, the Shield Knight, his voice actor steals the show. Like, he plays that guy, the big dumb strong guy, perfectly. He's got like a really big heart. You kind of hear it in his voice. He's got that like nice bass to him. He as a character, he can be hit or miss. I really like him. That was my first gripe, and then my other gripe. Actually, that was my biggest gripe. Like, now that I play it more, I'm like, I don't know. I kind of wish there were job classes, but they let you upgrade to certain classes. So I'm like, okay, so they're meeting me halfway there. Like, this is a good evolution of a tactics game. And I would love for them now, because of the love for this, to make a Final Fantasy Tactics 2.5 HD, but make a new one, Final Fantasy Tactics 2. What I love the most about this game, one, tile feel, really good. You got a really good tile feel. The grids look nice. But the fact that you can move the camera at any angle is so nice.
Yeah. And not just in battle, too, when you're doing the exploration mode in town. And I didn't know that at first, and I accidentally hit the rotate button. It's like, you can rotate the camera in town? And so, yeah.
Yeah, it's huge. Well, because you want to find all the little shiny whites. That's the thing. For those of you playing or listening at home, anytime you see something shiny, it's a good item. And then the layers, I was like, okay, there's not really a world map. There's kind of a world map, but you can't travel on it. But then you get the encampment, and you get the mock battles. And then you get the character stories. Like you said, there's so many characters. And depending on... So there's this thing called conviction system. And it's based on liberty, morality, and...
not humility.
What is it? No. Oh, shoot.
I thought I wrote it down.
I wrote it down
liberty, morality, utility.
Utility, that's right. How well you use things, right?
Right.
And so my understanding, and I hope this isn't a spoiler, actually this is a non-spoiler spoiler. There is, I believe, 4 endings from what I've read. I don't know how you get each 4, but your choices can lead you down that path of 4, right? And so I guess we'll start, because the game, what they also did, and what I love that this company does, is like, hey, here's the first 6 hours of the game for free. Try it, and if you like it, buy it. That's a huge sell for me. So you and I both chose, because this is also a really good political drama, right? That's
Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones, very about resources and war, which with what's in the news, I can understand if people maybe want to escape for that. But if you want, I call this like a really good sit in bed game too. Like, you could play for 30, 40 minutes and you're not hyped up. Maybe in a battle where you're really stressed out you are, but if you're just going through the story, it gets you nice and soothed, and like reading a book. Yeah. And it makes you want to go to sleep. I chose, so there's the 3 factions. There's Glenbrook, which is like the royal house. There's Azeroth, which is like the kingdom to the north and the frozen, and then there's Hyzet. And so at a certain point, you represent Glenbrook, and you get a choice to go visit one of the 2 kingdoms. And you chose which one?
Esfrost.
Esfrost. Okay. So when you chose Esfrost, what did you find up there? Because I chose Hyzet, and I got a completely different experience.
So so it starts, you're in like a snowy town, and people are... Okay, so for people that don't know, the game is about salt, and salt is a very important resource, which
salt and iron.
Salt and iron, right? Because the salt iron war, right?
Very not creative name. I'm going to say,
is salt is it like a deeper meaning? But it's really to flavor food. But you also find out it's also to make certain explosives.
Yeah.
Right. So
sodium, man. Sodium chloride.
Yeah. So, but people want the salt to bring flavor to their food. It's like, if you're eating boring food, unless you have salt on it, which is true. But anyway,
you don't make a steak without salt.
Right. You know I mean? Yeah, exactly. It brings out the flavors. Otherwise, you're missing out. Is kind of what they're saying. But people in Esfrost were selling fake salt to people. And salt, they said something like an ounce of salt is worth as much as feeding a family for a month. And there are these, what's the word I'm looking at? They're like bootleggers, and they're making fake salt and selling it. And so the guardsmen in S-Frost are trying to find these guys making the salt. So they hire a spy.
That's wild.
And that's he's an archer named Rudolph, and so he's like trying to infiltrate, and he's trying to pretend like, hey, I need to buy. I got a buyer for you. Here, meet me here. Blah blah blah.
Oh,
and
he's
then
the pusher man. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so then, the guards come to Serenoa, and our team are like, hey, we need your help. Can you help us out? And Benedict is really against it. He's like, we don't know what we're up against, but we go to it anyway, and we try to confront these guys that are trying to meet us around like this back in this alleyway to sell us some salt, and so we try to like confront them, and then they jump us with some more guys. There's a big
Your
battle.
face is covered in salt. This is a weird game.
Yeah,
Like,
and anyway, and so you win that battle, and then the spy was like, I'm a criminal. I can't do anything, but can I join you guys?
Right, so that's your special character.
We recruit, and he's cool. He has good movement, good range with his bow, and he can set a steel trap on the ground, and it's invisible to the enemies. But if they walk across it or land on it, then it ends their turn. And so I had a big boss. He was coming, and he landed on that, and it ended his turn, so he can't hit me with that big strike or anything like that. So he's pretty useful. I like him a lot.
Yeah, see, I went to Hyzet, and Hyzet is it's a place of it's a giant city surrounded by a giant wall, and the wall is like a big thing about there. It protects them. It's impenetrable, and it's ran by these 7 magistrates. So the thing about there is everyone is everyone lives freely. So everyone has a home. It's kind of like socialist, communist, if we want to talk in political terms, but it's also based in religion. So like there's a gong when you walk in and everyone's praying, right? And the reason I chose there is because you want to learn like, hey, what are your medical secrets? And you find out in the game, it starts your main character's house has a arranged marriage with Frederica. She has pink hair. She's a fire mage. So when you go there, they say, hey, we don't allow Roselians, which is the pink-haired ladies, to talk or come in. Like you guys they did something bad in the past to them, right? And the fact that she's going to go meet the 7 magistrates, they say, you can come, but don't talk. And then they're like, okay. And there's this cryomage that's a student there, and he's kind of watching you. And there's people that are trying to steal some of the studies, right? And you're trying to stop them from stealing the findings. And after you steal the findings, because he sees you guys are about progress and open to learning, he joins you, right? Because but he's going under the guise of like, oh, I want to go study for Hyzet, but he has no intention of going back. Later, there's a short story with him and Eridor, and Eridor's like, he's like, well, let's go drink a beer. And he goes, I don't drink, it clouds the mind. And so he has one drunk. He goes, oh, you're an angry drunk. And he's slurring and he passes out like full on, which I love. Like, and it's just a little fun character thing. But I chose that, and it's cool because you're waiting for Hyzet to maybe help you, because later, if everyone played the first demo, there's this like big point of combat where you're fighting on a bridge. The King Bling Book, things happen there. And you and I both chose to save this prince, right?
Right, yeah.
I have to ask you, did you use the traps?
You talk about for the
chapter 7
burning traps?
Yes.
I used every single one. Keep in mind, I'm playing, start to finish, I've been on hard mode.
Yes, which is wild, right? So I had someone go, don't use it. And as soon as I read that, I was like, well, I have to not use it now.
Okay.
And
something happened?
You get, so like the town, so how did the people react for you when you burnt down the town?
Yeah, so
that's such a weird phrase, right?
No, like, it is.
How did arson treat you today?
And the animations are really cool. So I mean,
right, when oil comes in, it traps.
Yeah,
it's
the oil
cool mechanic.
It shoots up these like gates around the enemies, and you have to plan it right? So you have to wait for them to move here. So you need to kind of lure them around, and then you hit the thing, and it triggers the fire, and homes burn, and then the
Yeah.
enemies just burn.
Yeah.
And after it, you go through the town, and there's like a little boy, and he's like, my home was here, and it's like, sorry. And there was some dialogue. I had the dialogue option beforehand saying, hey, are you going to compensate them for burning down using that
Anna?
Yeah, and I said no, because I don't want to make a promise that I
Oh.
can't keep.
I said yeah, just because I wanted to convince her to join my side. I'm
I said
I
didn't want to make a promise that I couldn't keep. But yeah, you talk to them, and they're pretty distraught that their towns are burned, but it's for a greater cause. It's like, sure, you lost your home, but you have your life, and we fought back a powerful army, right? And there was little hope, and now we have some hope.
Right. And so it's funny because, so here's the dialogue I got, right? A little girl goes, oh man, I was so happy to go back to my home because I left my dog. She was sitting in her spot, still there, nothing bad happened to her. And I was like, huh. And Eridor makes a comment at the end, like, oh, we didn't even need to use those contraptions. So I was like thinking that's it. So I'm waiting to see if there's some big thing. I'm trying not to spoil, but I just had like a whisper from a friend, like, hey, on a JRPG Discord, don't burn the traps for some reason. I said, oh okay. Wow. And I had to do that battle about 8 times. I grinded everybody out. Yeah. And so the secret I learned after that battle is you get these things called kudos. So that's the other thing I love about this game. Like, if you are really smart tactically, you get these little awards, right? And one of the awards is a kudos, and you can buy things from it. Like I was telling you in your chat, I bought the pinky ring one.
Right.
Because I want to flex on people. But it gives you more spoils. I think that's just like, oh, let me stack my gear. And then you can buy these skills. And I was like, well, are these skills going to people, right? And then I was like, I got to figure this out. So I was like, oh, hit the minus button. I was like, what? So I go on my Switch. You hit the minus button. It's another layered system. This game makes me think there's so much like Dungeons and Dragons elements to it. I don't know if you're a big D&D player.
I haven't really played.
Okay, so I'm
no one's invited me, so
I'll invite you if you ever want to play.
Okay, yeah,
I'm the guy. I would love it. You would love it.
Okay.
So there's these elements of like just random mechanics, but it's like they show the things you buy as the kudos. They're cards, and it's like, oh, use this card, and you get 3. So you can use 3 right now. It kind of like your TP. I'm not toilet paper, but your technical points for your skills. You get 3 Q points or QP.
Quietus points,
Quietus points. And you can use 3 per battle. So once you buy the card, you're over. So what I've done now is I upgraded Serenoa because my best friend Eric, shout out to him because I believe he's listening at home. He's like, oh, I upgraded Serenoa because you're always going to use them. I was like, oh, duh, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
And he does so much damage. He has that sweeping strike if you get it.
Oh, I love it.
So you get this card where the next move's a guaranteed crit, right?
Mm-hmm.
I had a whole group surrounded me in a mock battle, did it, and it was like 80, 90, 80, 80, 90. And I was like, oh, this would have been nice for General Valora if I was hawk diving her to have. But I'm still finding layers to the game, and I'm about 12, 14 hours in.
Yeah.
And then we got to chapter 8. That's where we both kind of stopped.
Right.
So there's this other guy, because your house is one of like the 3 houses that guards the king, and there's one that's the Falks. I always say their names wrong. They're kind of like in the farm town. He's known for archer, and he seems like a righteous guy. And then there's Silvio. And so Silvio comes to you, and there's a bunch of cutscenes where Silvio's kind of like sitting on his laurels and just waiting to see what you do. I mean, you're kind of like, what do you think of that guy? So what did you choose?
Yeah, so you see Silvio talking to himself, and he's saying, wait a minute, the Serenoa, Glenbrook, fought back against S-Frost and won? That they can actually win? Let me see if they'll accept my invite to me, and I'll hide them and protect them. And I chose yes. We're going to go with Silvio, and so I had to persuade 3 of my teammates. So yeah, we went over to I think it's Telior, Silvio Telior, his place, and he threw us a big banquet, and he's trying to get us drunk. And he's like, please try the wine. It's the best wine you've ever had. And so everyone has a drink in their hand, and there's food on the table, and there's
Good
like,
time for
we're all
all.
having a good time. We're all chilling. And Roland he's like, woo, yeah, getting little
Getting lit up.
toasty. And he's just pretending the whole time, because
Oh.
we've all sensed that, you know, like if
something's not right.
Something's not right. Silvio is up to something. Oh, because when you go through the exploration mode, you can talk to some people, and all they do is talk about Silvio is full of himself, and he will take advantage of a situation if it's right in front of him, right? And he only cares about himself. He doesn't care about you. He'll take some money, and so we're all thinking like something's just not right. And there's a bounty on Roland's head, right? So
that's the big thing, right? Which made me skeptical.
Would Silvio, set up a trap to turn over Roland to, the Esfrosty army? And it turns out that's what was going on. So we all fake being drunk, and then we say, hey, we need to retire for the night. And he's okay, yeah, go retire. Here's your cabin. And so it's Roland and Sarah Noah sharing a cabin, and we're like, okay, you're not drunk, right? He's like, no, I was just acting the whole time. And then it's nighttime, and the next scene, you see like a dozen guards and Silvio at the cabin, and they say, Silvio says, okay, kill everyone, leave Roland for me. And then two guards enter the cabin, and you just hear, and then
solid sound effect.
And then Roland and Sarah Noah bust out of the cabin, and Silvio's like, wait, what's going on? And then everyone busts out of their cabins, weapons in hand, and we're ready to fight.
God, this game does so many great storytelling elements. So I chose to say no to him because I thought he was a snake. I got a bad whiff from one. Because so when the characters are talking, you can hit the X button to see their character profile, to see how they're drawn. And I'll do that just so I can make what do I think about this person? Yeah.
If they look like this,
yes,
you don't trust
he looks
them.
Like this the whole time. He's and I was like, nope, nuh-uh. He's super fat. He's coming in really nice clothes. And then the other thing, when you do the conviction, you can go talk. So there's this cool voting element where you can sway players, and sometimes you don't. I didn't sway one of the people correctly to say no to him, but I got everybody else. And the town, people from his village were like, yeah, he doesn't have a good reputation. Right. And so I was like, okay. Didn't like that. And I didn't like your picture. So I said no to him. And so the people that came to get you, is there a guy, a big mercenary called Hero's Bane is his nickname or something?
Yeah, Rufus.
Dude, I have people. So on Twitter, people are hating Rufus. Rufus is a giant pain in the ass.
I've had 3 game overs to him. And I'm stuck on that. I had to grind a little bit, and I'm going to try him soon, but
probably when we get off the air here, me and you are both going to be playing. Or you got some stuff to do. But and so we're just gearing up for them to ambush or come to the castle. But now it's at the front gates of the castle, so it's a different battle. Oh man, I will definitely, if there is the 4 endings like they're saying, everything I have planned, I'm going to play this game for the rest of the year multiple times and just come back to it. It's there's so many. This year has been so good for video games, and this is Elden Ring's a game changer. You had the Horizon Zero Dawn, you have Kirby coming, Tunic came out today. This had a really small window where it came out, but I really want people that love strategy RPGs or just storytelling, because the Polygon, what's his name? I listened to him. He is on Fire Escape podcast. Mike Mahardy. He wrote a really good article about triangle strategy, and he was very fair, I think, because his thing was it kind of has you feel like you are making decisions, but I don't know if you really are. You have to write a review. It's hard because you're under time constraints, so I don't know if he's going to go back to playing all of those or going back to play. But it's a really good read, and he was really fair, and he really liked it, because sometimes it's It doesn't allow his big thing here. I'll post it right here. It doesn't. There's no room for headcanon, but that's okay to me. I don't personally. I want the story like it is. Choose your own adventure. There are pieces you are choosing, but I'm okay with you telling me about a character's backstory. Like, sure, let me know that. I don't need to make that up. Like, I want to hear what the author had created because then it makes sense for certain things, right? This is for me already. Like, if you're jonesing for an RPG, this is a must buy. Like, I think this is you have to own this on a Switch if you're an RPG fan.
Yeah,
and Pokemon Arceus too. I forgot even that came out this year.
Yeah.
But what were you gonna say? Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, I said at the beginning, if you like, I love Final Fantasy Tactics and I love Octopath Traveler. So this is like a combination of the two, right? The 2D HD graphics, and you're playing a tactical strategy game. So this is a must for me. I didn't read his article. I don't know what he's saying negatively about it, but
it's a good read, and it's all honest slights, and not even like I wouldn't even say slights. Like his POV was, I think, fair, right? And I think the Metacritic reviews, Triangle Strategy, it's pretty solid. I also look at OpenCritic for those people too. An 82 and an 82, like an 8.2 user score. That's very like on the nose. I would say that's fair because it's not for everybody. Like, but for the RPG, JRPG lovers, this is a great game.
Yeah,
high level, must own. Like, have to have on my Switch. This is a game I would replay for years to come.
Yeah,
and I want my son to play it. That's the goal too. Like, so that's that for Triangle Strategy. And Square's been in the news as we move into our news segment of our story.
Oh yeah.
So the title of this episode is Triangle or Pyramid Scheme, Square Enix Pyramid Scheme, because also it's a play on the word triangle strategy. Pyramids are three-dimensional. Anyway, it's not good if I have to explain the joke. Square Enix apologizes for Choco GP grind on Backlash. So they've had this win. They also have Final Fantasy Strangers in Paradise that came out, which is another game that people are really hot on. But then they have these two flops in 2 weeks. They have the Choco Grand Prix, the grind, right? They promised users. So basically, if they were trying to sell it at like an old PlayStation Classic, but people were saying it's a microtransaction haven, like a phone game, was what I read. Did you ever play any of the GP Chocobo games?
No, I didn't.
Neither did I. And it, it looks cool, but for me, I'm like a Mario
It's Final
Kart guy.
Fantasy, right?
It is Final Fantasy.
It's got some Final Fantasy in there. So
right.
I think
Cloud.
Right. I think that's why people would go for it. I never played it. I did read the article, and
yeah.
When you have to dish out, okay, I know you guys aren't happy. We're gonna give you everyone 500 free in-game coins or whatever it was. Anyway, that's just
And I mean, you can beat Cloud on his motorcycle, but it's never a good look when you have to apologize to players for trying to nickel and dime them, right? And then the other one that people, the new worst game on the PS5, Babylon's Fall, the Square Enix game, and then also came up Balan's Wonderland. Like, Square has had some real stinkers this year, and then they do like these beautiful games like Triangle Strategy or Pixel Remaster. But this was really hyped up, and the big thing that surprised me was one, like you super bugged. The first day or the first few days, there was only 605 congruent players on Steam.
Yeah,
that's not good.
Yeah, and I saw some footage of it where there was some enemy, and you could cheese the enemies easily, like some sort of ranged attack, and then you get your XP that way. And it was buggy and clunky, so I've only heard some negative reviews about it, so I stayed away from it.
Yeah, me too. It sounds like it was trying to be like a Diablo-like, and it's just it's so weird how there can be so many great games coming out of there, and then like you have these two. Square's got to be a wild place to work, right? or what are they going for here?
There's so many projects. It's like I hope I'm on the good project.
Yeah. Or do they think like, hey, we can put out a good game and then sneak this one in where we'll make little microtransactions and no one will know? Like
Mhm.
people aren't dumb, And I, either way, Square will still get my money on their AAA titles. I will be buying every Art Dink Live Alive that's coming out this summer too. That's on my watch list because that's everyone says if you love Octopath, that's like the predecessor to Octopath. So I'm super pumped for that. I think we're going to move into our final segment. And I'm going to kind of change it up to you. So something we do here is called the Leaderboard. And the Leaderboard is where we rank our personal favorites. And because you and I have just really chatted up strategy JRPGs, and I know you're a JRPG fan, how do you feel about ranking your top 5 JRPGs with me?
Top 5 JRPGs?
Yeah.
I mean, I would
definitely... Do you want to go... Go ahead. Sorry.
On my Twitch, I list my top 10 favorite games of all time. Let me
can pull that up. Do you want me
I know what they are off the top of my head.
Yeah.
But JRPGs.
Yes, JRPGs.
Let me see. The first JRPG.
Would this be your 1 or your 5?
Is it what?
Would this be your number 1 or would this be your number 5?
Let's go with my number 1.
Okay, we'll go 1 to 5.
My number 1 favorite. Okay.
Yes.
Final Fantasy Tactics.
Easy.
I love it. We've just talking about it. Maybe that's why I love triangle strategy so much. I love strategy games.
Yeah.
That's why I built my own tactical strategy game inspired by Final Fantasy Tactics. So yeah, I'm gonna go Final Fantasy Tactics. It and kind of like triangle strategy, it kind of has a Game of Thrones feel, right? Really political,
right?
As a kid, I didn't really like the politics when I played it when I was 10 years old. But I love the battles, I love the characters. Yeah.
Right. I talked to a friend about this. When you play as a kid, you're like, oh, I'm just playing for the action and I'm just paying for that. And this is a game you can get on Steam. I have it on my iPhone. Here's the thing about
it. Yeah, I have it on my iPad, yeah.
Yeah. When you play it over and over because of job class, as you get older, you become... I think part of it is our ability as a reader when we're young. Things are over our head or we don't care. And then the next time you play, you're paying attention to this or you're paying attention to this. In the story of religion and war and family in there, it's so in depth. It's one of the better video game stories ever told. It's really well done. I'm curious now if I went back to play it with what I've seen in Triangle Strategy, how I'll feel about how it's aged. I'll probably still love it because I know it's different and I know the game. But man, am I gonna wish I can rotate that camera 360. But it's still one of the best ever, and people should play it just for the story and the job classes are cool. That is my number 1 as well. My number 2.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, easily.
Okay.
My number 2 is Chrono Trigger.
Ooh, okay.
It's Akira Toriyama.
No, I loved it. It's not in my top 5.
Oh really? Oh man, I think for what it's done for the genre, and again, I'm a sucker for good storytelling, right? And just like in Triangle Strategy, this is one of the first game with multiple endings. I think there's 13. How many endings are in Chrono Trigger? 12 endings. Right, 12 possible endings.
Right.
The characters are all really cool. Frog's the man. It just the soundtrack is solid. I'll play that for my students when they're taking a test. Sometimes I'll play that and the Octopath one. Look at the launch trailer from back in the day. And again, this is a game you can get on your iPhone. You can get it on iPad, Apple TV, Steam. This is a game that really deserves. I know when they announced Chrono Cross coming to the Switch, I was like, I think I'll make a Chrono Trigger 2.5 HD because that one would sell out like bananas. But yeah, it's the Dragon Quest and Akira Toriyama creator, and it's just chef's kiss. What's your number 2?
All right, I have Final Fantasy VII.
Ooh,
because it was. I mean, I don't have to defend it. I'm not defending.
No, okay, you don't.
Now, hear me out.
Have you heard of this indie game?
Yeah. So it was actually my first Final Fantasy game.
You always love your first.
Yeah, I mean, really, you do. You love your first MMO RPG. You love your first Final Fantasy game. Then I went back and I played, 1 through 6 and Chrono Trigger after. But yeah, Final Fantasy VII was my first Final Fantasy game, and so the story, and then just, I mean, everything about it, right? I remember when they advertised it in the trailer, the original trailer, they never showed gameplay. They only showed cutscenes.
Yeah.
And
hold on.
That was their marketing strategy. We are only because we want to show what the PlayStation 1 can do and what this brand new Final Fantasy installment it looks like. It's only cutscenes, and they never explain what genre of game it was.
Well, and
so
it was the biggest...
look at this. It's like, whoa, these graphics are off the chain.
I know, in 1997. Right. And it's the biggest spoiler ever, by the way, for a commercial, because they show like the big twist, right, of Aerith or Ares or Aerith, right? That was in the commercial. And I now, have you played the remake?
7 remake, of course.
Yeah. Oh, you already have. So
yeah,
I don't have it. I'm holding out, and
for all the parts.
Yes.
Yeah. So
either I'm crazy or I'm gonna just be like I'm gonna be gone for 2 weeks, guys. Lock me in a hole. I'll see you.
I don't have a PS5, so I did not play part integrate with
Gotcha.
Yuffie. I call her Yuffie. I found out her name's Yuffie, and my cat is named Yuffie.
Perfect.
So it's her section, and so I haven't played that.
That's a solid cat name, by the way, for a video game character, because she is like, it was Cat Sif, but that's like too on the nose. Like, yeah, that fits. Yeah. That's a great one. I think 7, and again, like my best friend who got me into Tactics. That's the game we bond over. That was like quintessential. The remakes I've heard are great too. What's your number 3?
All right, it's my last Final Fantasy game on the list.
That's okay.
My third favorite JRPG, Final Fantasy X.
Ooh, okay.
Now very close behind are other Final Fantasy games, but I'm not going to include them on my list. Yeah, I loved Final Fantasy X, and again, so I just said that Final Fantasy VII was the first PS1 Final Fantasy installment. 10 was the first game on the PS2, and these graphics are just blowing your mind. It's the first voice acted Final Fantasy,
right? For better or worse,
yeah. And I love the battle system, switching out your characters and choose. There's a lot of customization with the sphere grid.
Yes,
yes.
The sphere grid is maybe the best. Actually, it's the second best part of Final Fantasy X. The first best part of Final Fantasy X in my mind is Blitzball.
I love Blitzball.
Blitzball needs to be its own game. I've been saying this for years.
I see Blitzball haters everywhere. Like, oh my God, I loved Blitzball.
I don't know what they're talking about.
I wished there was a way to link your PS2 at the time, because I wanted to challenge a real person to Blitzball, but I never could.
Right. You get Roop. That's the secret. He's the best midfielder. He can throw it to everyone. You learn the jack shot, and then you maybe get Walker to play your goalie or your defender, and then you just win. I would love for Square to just be like, hey, here's a Blitzball game. I'd be like, oh, okay, here's my money.
I would definitely play. Jack shot was way OP though.
Yes.
I missed it my first playthrough. I played
so did I.
Twice. Yeah, because you have to hit those commands, and it's not clear on what the commands are, right? They pop up on your screen, but it's not clear what you have to do there.
Well, and like when you're a kid, you're like, I don't care about this, right? This is just like a cutscene. It's whatever. And then like you do some research, like, oh, this is really important to the game. Like, and people look at it like, what is this?
And it's fun. I thought it was really fun.
Dude, most of my hours were spent on this mini game, not the lightning jumping. The lightning jumping was Blitzball. I have hundreds of hours in the Blitzball.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, 10's a solid game for what it did.
Right.
My third favorite is a non-Final Fantasy game, and it's another one that I hope gets a 2D remake. It's Super Mario RPG and 7 Stars. That is correct.
Yeah, I never played that one, but I want to.
So Paper Mario's good, but they when they pitched it as the next Mario RPG. In Mario Luigi, the Game Boy Advance ones, the Silver Star Saga, those are good, or Superstar Saga. Those are great, but nothing beats this. This is it's so funny. The battling mechanic, the time jumps is great. It's a good it's Square's take on Mario. Bowser's a good guy, which blows your mind when you're 10 years old. You're like, what? He's on my team.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's a game that, again, I know fans are clamoring for and would love a remake of. This is one that I highlight, and I have it's on the Super NES Mini. I'll play that from time to time. I can still run through it really fast. I really like watching speed runs of it because people just get the stars and then they cheese the game really hard. And it's so good. It's so good. That is my number 3. My number 4, though, I'm going to go back to the Final Fantasy. Well, it's Final Fantasy 6.
Yeah.
And for one big reason, you can suplex a train.
Yeah, that's pretty great. I played Final Fantasy VI for my first time 2 years ago.
Okay.
And I got all the characters except Shadow.
Oh.
I missed it. You know the part I'm talking about, right?
Yes. So
I missed it.
And you know why you missed it, right?
Yeah, because you have to wait.
You have to wait till the 5 seconds, right?
Exactly. And
so,
I didn't. I got scared.
See, I played this later, like when it came out, so people knew about that, and I had a friend at school that was obsessed with it. But can you imagine most kids missing that? No 10-year-old's gonna be like, I'm gonna wait for Shadow. It's like I gotta go. You know, like some kid might have been wild and like I want to see what happens if I don't go. Like, will I die or will I do that? The suplex in the train. I just have to show that clip.
Yeah,
it's the best. Now you can kill the train with a Phoenix down. That's the other secret too.
Yeah,
but it's so much cooler to suplex the train.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I didn't know. I wasn't using a guide for that Shadow part because when I play games, I really want it to be like really natural.
Yeah.
And darn, I missed a big secret, but that's what I did, right? It's the choices that I made.
Yeah.
And
kind of like what we're doing with triangle strategy, right? Like I'm trying to be.
You could look it up and get all. You don't want to do that, right?
No, I want to figure out. I think maybe by like the second or third time, I'll probably go. Okay, let me like look at what 2 endings I've gotten, and or if I get the same ending twice, I'm gonna be kind of frustrated with myself. I'm gonna do everything opposite. But that game also, triangle strategy pulls a lot of inspiration from that with the character details, like. The characters in Final Fantasy VI are also interesting, and they all have a unique story, and you care about them all. Even the weird ones like Gao, the one on the Velt, right? What's your number 4?
I have Octopath Traveler.
Yeah,
I love it. I love the characters. I love the battle mechanics too, finding their weakness and then breaking down their defense to get the extra damage. That was really fun. I thought the chapters were just the right length. I like that I was able to, I want to go get this character first. I don't know what they do or whatever, but I can go this path and then and the stories were really good, really interesting. Some of them were really painful, like Primrose, and the others were like.
Primrose's story is so heavy.
Yeah,
for like a JRPG because she's basically.
It's dark.
It's dark. It's really dark, and then when she goes, and that guy like it's not. It doesn't hit you over the head, right? But it's like read the subtext and what she's going through, and it's super. Like you're like, oh my god. This is my number 5. So so just to wax poetic about it. What I liked about this too is not a traditional like mainline story, right? But there is one hidden on how everything connects if you find everything. And the other little nuance, the soundtrack for this game is so amazing.
Oh yeah, I was listening to it a couple weeks ago. Just like you go to YouTube and you can just all the tracks are right there.
Yeah. It's one again. I play in my classroom. Another little nut like Alphen is a saxophone. Cyrus is a piano. You get big brass for Cyrus. And you like Tessa, you got the whimsy flute. Like each instrument fits the person's personality.
That's so
right
cool.
In each song. And it's such a subtle thing. That guy needs to like Square Enix needs to like make the next whatever here. With Final Fantasy 16, do the score. And the fact that you had the rogue path, the noble path, and you could interact with people, all the side quests, Like it's that, oh, let me like it really forced you to like turn over every rock. And here's the thing. If you fight the secret final boss, and I think you do all the side quests, something that happens on the title screen. I don't know if you noticed this. Because you fought the guy, right? Glad or whatever his name is.
Are you talking about the secret endgame dungeon?
Yeah, where you
I didn't do it yet.
I won't say much. I
Okay.
won't say anything. But when you beat it, on the title screen, you get a crown over the Octopath Traveler. So it's like a little another nod there.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
Okay.
Look at it. God, I love the 2D HD. Look at this. And look at the particle effects, so you can see the sand.
Yes. I was replaying this, and I was playing with all the rogue characters only, just to like try something, and then I made it like some self challenges where, okay, if I get banned from this town, I can't do anything right now. So till I'm done.
I heard
with my
those
rogue
challenges.
playthrough.
Yeah,
and it was fun. It made it really like risky. The only thing that I like would soft reset for that I broke my thing was the golden axe at the beginning of Alpha's Town.
Oh yeah,
that's such a good weapon to have.
Right.
Who's your favorite character? Who do you like to start with?
So I started with Therian.
Okay.
And I really like that. You can get those chests early on. It's good money early on because you save money by stealing. And I mean, yeah, I like having that good fortune early on. I think story-wise, the best was Primrose.
I think Primrose's Act 1, 2 are really good, and then 3 is pretty solid, and then 4 you're like, oh, okay. I agree. She has the best like beginner character arc.
Yeah.
Therion's stories actually gets better progressively too.
Yeah.
Who do you think had the worst story?
You know who I enjoyed playing the least was Honnet, I think.
Yeah.
Because
right?
Honnet had the like old English, like a little like
Shakespearean, very
It's very Shakespearean, and sometimes it was just like hard to read. Where I was just like, okay, I don't know. I mean,
right.
I like speaking in accents and stuff.
Right.
But hers was just like a little bit too much, and then the whole capturing. Like I got to take the time and be like, okay, this enemy does this, so I can capture it and use it in battle. And so I think hers was the most tedious. Yeah. And so I just wasn't feeling Honnet very much.
Especially if you're like me and an avid Pokemon trainer. So there's 10 special monsters that you can catch. I don't know if you know about that.
No.
In the game that are like bosses. And if you catch the 10 bosses, she can use them. And
I didn't know that.
Oh man, I 100%ed this game, and I will replay it. Like I have I think 170 hours into it.
Oh wow!
Because it was the year my daughter was born, and so like when I would stay up with her, she would lay on my chest, and I would just play.
I did the exact same thing, but I played Hades.
Oh, that's a good one to play.
Yeah, when my son was born, and I would have to put him on my chest. And I would have to just be really still, and I would play Hades.
Yeah, it's so good. My guy's Alphen. He's the best healer in the game.
Yeah, I like Alphen. I didn't do enough of his mixing, his concocting and stuff, because I was just like, I don't know. Because I wasn't looking things up. I wasn't using a guide, and I was too afraid to mix things.
Right.
And experiment.
The only time I would use some kind of guide is if I got stuck on a side quest. I'm like, where do I go? And I just say, go here. I'm like, okay. Well, with him, go ahead.
Yeah, well, when I got towards the end of the game, I used a guide because I heard about the 4 secret classes.
Yeah.
And I only stumbled upon one of them.
Oh.
Right? Because you have to find the entrance to the cave or temple or whatever it is.
And you have to find them.
Yeah, well. I only used the guide to find the location, and then I struggled to find him.
The struggle bus.
Yeah.
Now let me tell you. Okay, this is my pro tip. If you teach everybody cleric ability in the overheal, so you can overheal them and it makes their HP 999. Right.
Right.
You give everybody that, and then you do his concoction where it's the powder and it heals everybody, and you use the plus berry. And it'll give everybody 999 HP at the beginning of the battle.
At the beginning?
You heal with Alphen right away, it overheals them, and everyone has 9,999.
Oh, wow.
And it's a good way because then you're like, okay, I can take some damage, and then
You can take a lot of damage. Yeah.
and then take a lot of damage, and then that overbreak ability. That the Which of the 4 jobs did you find? The 4 hidden jobs.
What do you mean? I found them all.
Oh, you got all the 4 hidden jobs.
Yeah,
Okay.
I got all of them.
Okay, so the War Master, you have, or
Yeah.
one of them where you have the ability for overbreak.
Yeah.
I found if you give the War Master to Hunette, and you do the double attack, that the ultimate move for that, Hunette can hit for like 15,000 each time, and you can do some game breaking stuff.
Wow.
But yeah, that's my number 5. I love Octopath, and honorable mention Dragon Quest 11. What's your number 5?
Oh yeah, that's a good one. I played that
purely for Silvando.
Year and a half ago, and I put about I think 155 hours into that one.
That game psychs you out.
Game.
It psychs you out though, because you're like, I beat it. Wait, no, I didn't. I beat it. Wait,
no. I was trying to do all the Wheel of Harma.
Yeah.
And all the side quests.
Yes. That's a game though. That's a sign of a great game.
Yeah, right? And then there's an end game secret boss. I didn't finish the Wheel of Harma. I got really far, but that is tough.
Yes.
And then I didn't do the super secret end game boss, which is like a golden version of the final boss. I didn't do that. I watched a video and I'm like, no, I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
And then I think there was like 1-2 side quests or something like that. Anyway, but yeah.
That's my honorable mention. What's your number 5 though?
Yeah, my number 5. It's tied. Hang on, let me decide. All right, I'll tell you the 2 that I'm thinking for number 5.
Okay, you can give an honorable mention.
Okay, I'll say Tales of Destiny.
Oh, okay. That's
Tales of Destiny was the reason.
PS1 Tales of.
It's a PS1 Tales, and it was my first and only Tales game I've played, actually. It's the reason why I bought a PlayStation 1. I saw a friend play it. It blew me away. Tales of Destiny, 1998.
Yeah.
And I went out the next day.
Ultimate solid win right there.
Yeah. And it is so mysterious. Like, what is the sword? And then the intro to the game is so cool. You're a stowaway on an airship that's looks like a dragon airship, and then you trying to hide from these from the crewmen, and so you go into like this dark storage room and you find this glowing sword, and then it speaks to you, and then that's when you start your adventure. But it was the reason why I bought a PS1 back in, well, this was 1998, and then that means I must have played Final Fantasy VII shortly after that, because I got a PS1, I got to buy all these.
So I'm guessing you were like in your early teens?
No, I was 10 or 11.
Oh, look at that. Yeah, so a tween. Not even.
I was, in 1997, I was 10 years old. So,
yeah, okay, there you go.
Yeah, but
see, that game, I missed out on this one. My first Tales, though, was Tales of Symphonia. But this looks amazing.
No, this is a remake right here.
Oh,
it was not 3D. It was not 3D like this, or whatever you would call this. No. Hang on, that's not. That was director's cut, PS2.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. So I played PS1.
Oh, here we go.
There it is. There's the airship.
There we go. That's still cool graphics for that time.
This is the trailer.
This is a Tales of Death. I think someone just ripped it.
Yeah, I think someone just ripped it. Yeah. That's not the trailer. I don't even know if I've ever seen the trailer.
I know. Here. Oh, wait. Oh, it's the anniversary.
That's the 25th anniversary. Let's see.
Either way, I'll keep looking.
Oh, and then
yeah.
I had an honorable mention. You want to hear it?
Yeah.
Okay. Legend of Dragoon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was a really cool game.
It was super cool. I got it as a kid, and then I couldn't. I was bad at the timing, and I'm not playing this anymore.
Timing was really annoying at the start, but then, it's repetition. You get used to it, and it makes the battle more interactive, right? It's not just press the X button and then they'll run up and do right. You press the X button and they're doing a, 3-piece combo. You gotta right, and you gotta. It made it more interactive, and I think it made it more fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I liked the story. That game had cool elements. You synced up with the dragon, right? Like each character was
So
had a
you
dragon
had like
power.
it was like your special, and you could and like when you
Kind of
it was
Power Ranger
kind of like
vibes.
kind of like Power Ranger because you're there, and then when you hit your special, you get this like dragon armor, and then you get these wings, and you're floating in the air, and then and then you can triple special where all three of your party members they all transform just like Power Rangers, and you're just like, oh, this enemy is going down. I saved it for the boss
Love
fight.
it.
Here we go, and you're all in your most powerful form. You'll have these really powerful attacks, and it's really cool.
Right on.
Yeah,
I'm so Loxxulus. Thank you for coming on tonight. It was so great to talk to you about triangle strategy and talk JRPGs with you, and us to talk about Square. Apparently, this is a JRPG podcast, even though this was Metroidvania March. Sorry, Metroidvania March. You got bumped for JRPGs as always. Well, where can our viewers and listeners find more of you?
Yeah, I'm Loxxulus on Twitter and Twitch. That's LOXXULUS. Yeah, I'm really active on Twitter and Twitch, so you can find me there. You can find my game Chesslocke on Steam for Windows PC. If you like chess puzzles and you like RPG elements, I think you might like the game.
And it's on sale right now.
Oh yeah, it's on sale for the next 4 days.
Yeah, go buy it. Get out there. Do it. It's fun. Well, thank you so much. And if you guys like us, please leave a like or rate us highly, 5 stars if you could, so kindly. Thank you for joining us and giving us your time. And look at the description below if you want to follow us or join our Discord. Got a lot of chats in there. Thank you so much. Have a great night. And remember, play your games.